Hello and welcome to Insurance Business TV for our first Professional Risks Power Panel of the year for New Zealand. We've gathered experts to help brokers navigate this diverse insurance landscape. We've got Nina Croft. She's Northern Manager of Financial, Executive and Professional Risks for WTW. And Claire Hazard is Deputy Head of Financial and Professional Risks for Gallagher. Both are in Auckland. Nina, let's start with you and welcome to the show.
Hi, Jenny. Hi.
Yeah, good to have you. I mean, how would you define this diverse area we call professional risks?
I'd say it's a very broad, very diverse, challenging, exciting, never a dull day. Every day is a learning day. We're always challenging the status quo and having to think on our feet. No 2 days are the same. So very broad summary, but that's sort of how I'd sum it up.
We like broad summaries. Claire, welcome to you as well.
Thanks, Jenny. It's good to be here.
Great. Yeah, good to have you on. And how would you define it?
Yeah, I think, as Nina said, it is a really diverse and broad area. And we have everything from, your traditional professional services firms, your solicitors, engineers, architects, and accountants. But with that, we've also got a lot of new and evolving risks in the technology space. So really, anyone providing service, advice, design can be held within the professional risks landscape and faces exposures for their services being provided.
And Claire, let's stick with you. How do you think the landscape has changed in recent years in New Zealand?
Yeah, quite a few different areas in terms of the exposures that professional services firms do face. Technology, everyone's talking about AI and how that's going to influence professional services going forward and what that means from a risk perspective. The regulatory landscape is constantly evolving, and I think the regulatory watchdogs are getting more teeth. So we're seeing a lot more activity in that space across a number of sectors. And I think generally the landscape in New Zealand is becoming more litigious. There is definitely I feel that the litigiousness in New Zealand has been increasing over the past couple of years.
And Nina, regulators getting more teeth and more litigious. Is that the perspective from where you sit in Auckland too?
Yeah, absolutely. I totally echo what Claire has said there, and echo all the sentiments that Claire has raised. I might sort of just add that, and Claire has touched on that. She's been, specific, but there's been a growth in complexity with emerging risks, as Claire has said. Also, there's been a change in capacity and appetite changes from insurers, whether new capacities coming into the market or exiting. We really have to find alternative and bespoke solutions for our clients that are unique in challenging situations. There's been a very big shift in the D&O landscape, particularly in New Zealand. We've always traditionally been a couple of years behind the London market, and that's really come home to roost. A very changed landscape. Cyber has always sort of been on everyone's radar, but I think in New Zealand we've always been a little bit, we're a little old New Zealand at the other end of the world. We've got really good systems, processes, security, but I think with more focus in the media, and particularly very recent events such as the CrowdStrike matter has sort of left people feeling that, hey, this can affect everybody. As Claire touched on, AI is certainly, I don't know if you'll call it an emerging risk anymore. It's certainly sort of come to the fore, but yeah, I mean, there's been many, yeah, it's certainly a shifting and changing a landscape, that's for sure.
And Nina, in this shifting landscape, what's your firm focusing on, or does it really just depend what the clients are throwing at you?
Oh, yeah, absolutely, Danny. I think, the New Zealand market is fairly small and we're all fishing from the same pond. So, we there is more complexity in the risks that we're looking on, and we need to, as I said, just briefly touch on before, we need to be able to find more bespoke solutions for our clients, sometimes outside of the insurance realm. So, yeah, our focus is, I guess, trying to do the best that we can for our clients in this challenging environment.
Yeah, and Claire, on the other side of the Auckland pond, what's your firm focusing on, or is it really just dependent on what's thrown at you?
Yeah, I think that's right. It's fairly broad. We look after everything from your traditional professional services firms, again, your solicitors, architects, engineers, financial advisors, real estate firms, through to large corporate accounts, including listed entities. So fairly broad here in New Zealand. I think overseas in Australia, typically has more practice or niche groups by sector or by policy class. But here in New Zealand, we tend to need to be able to sit across a number of those because of our size.
And Claire, let's stick with you and let's pull the focus out a little and reflect on 2024. What did you see as a couple of your big challenges last year?
I think the challenge last year was really starting to move with a softening market. So the liability insurance market has started softening quite quickly, and ensuring that we were getting the best outcome for our clients in terms of coverage and the most competitive premiums, of course, but ensuring that you're maintaining continuity with insurers, and managing potentially open claims with potential movement of insurers can be quite tricky. So as the market has softened, it has definitely meant that you can't assume that you've got the best outcome unless you really test the waters across the New Zealand, Australia, and London markets.
And Nina, what about you? Was it the softening market, or what else was going on that was a challenge last year?
Yeah, absolutely. Again, echoing Claire's sentiments. It's certainly been, the softening market has definitely been a challenge, and also the economic environment. As Claire said, we've had to do a whole lot more to ensure that, we do the best for our clients. A lot of clients are very price driven, particularly in the economic climate. So it's trying to find those, the best solutions for them. And as Claire said, particularly in the liability space, continuity is all important, particularly with this, large and complex claims. Continuity is not like, changing your motor vehicle insurer. You can do that at a drop of a hat. But with liability, there's a very long tail in terms of claims and how far back, policies cover claims. So yeah, certainly, the softening market, and also, played off against the economic environment, affordability for a lot of our clients, particularly maybe at the sort of smaller end, really having to, consider where their priorities lie. Um, and, also, again, a lot of clients outside of all that are price driven, and, playing that off against trying to demonstrate the value um, in an insurance solution, so that it doesn't have to come out of their pockets in the end.
So it sounds like for both of you, it's likely that those 2024 challenges are the current ones too, the affordability, the soft market, or are there other things on now that are throwing curveballs at you? Nina, is it pretty well continuity from 2024 right now?
Yeah, I think in terms of current, I'm just continuing the theme of potentially what Claire spoke about a little bit earlier. For us, the current challenges with regulation and compliance, and catching up on technology to deal with the volume of business we transact, to stay compliant and stay ahead of the curve. Also with the softening market and the economic environment, maintaining our risks at the lower end who are price driven. So it's just, that theme just continues on, Danny.
And Claire, what about you? When you're not talking to insurance business, what are a couple of the current challenges on your plate?
Yeah, absolutely. The continuity of the softening market. We haven't seen the bottom of it yet. So that's going to continue to be a real challenge to navigate. We're also seeing, as we do in an economic downturn and with the property market having risen and then fallen here in New Zealand, we see a lot of claims coming out of the woodwork as well. So with an uptick in claims, it's also important to manage those with your client and ensure that they're getting the best outcome in terms of coverage and policy response. So yeah, it's a busy time with uptick in claims and softening market that is keeping everyone pretty busy.
Yeah, and Claire, when you're off to meet your clients, as a broker, what are you thinking about when you know that there are these difficult economic conditions, softening market? What's going through your head, and what are you going to do about it when you sit down face to face?
Yeah, I think it's all about sort of understanding, the challenges that that particular business faces and what, their risk transfer stances with insurance. Some companies really want to have a very broad and complex insurance program in place, whilst others are really looking at dialing it back to the bare minimum due to costs. And some clients will say, well, this is the difference between us keeping an employee or not keeping an employee. That's some of the decisions they have to make, which is very real. So it's also about providing options for them, whether that's different limit options or different excess options, potentially removing some aspects of cover or adding in other aspects of cover, and looking at various options and making sure that you're tailoring it for what that client needs in the current environment and the challenges that they're facing at the moment.
And Nina, as Claire said there, it is a tough time for clients. What's going through your head before you meet up with clients in this environment?
Again, just echoing Claire's comments, it is really building really good, strong relationships with our clients, really understanding what their key drivers are, what's important to them, and, tailoring those insurance solutions, to suit, as Claire said, providing options, and, just always ensuring that you are actually, you are not just listening to your clients, but that you're hearing them. Yeah, so again, I don't have too much more to add to that. Claire really summed it up really nicely.
No, she did. No, we made it pretty hard for you to come in there with. But I think you did a good job. This is always a hard one, but let's put on the crystal ball for a moment. Nina, how do you see the market changing in the coming months? Is it possible to predict this environment?
I mean, we don't have a crystal ball. It would be great if we did. But I, certainly seeing a continuation of the softening of the market. There's some increased capacity and also stiff competition. Insurers, do broking firms have got very stiff budgets, to meet. There's challenges with the current economic environment, which needs to be balanced against, sound risk management strategies, and ensuring that the insurance solution we tell of our client are robust and fit for purpose. So, I think just the theme continues in terms of the soft and challenging market. And I guess, part of the challenge is, there's obviously a lot of clients looking around to see where they can save money, but ensuring that they do have something that's fit for purpose, because ultimately, at claim time is when you really do see the value in your policy, and you want to ensure that it does respond.
And Claire, what are you seeing in your crystal ball for the months ahead?
The softening liability market is going to continue for some time. As I said before, we haven't yet seen the bottom of it. So that's going to keep everyone busy. I think the uptick in claims will continue as well. With clients, we're really seeing that, they want to take more of a holistic view to their risk management and risk transfer strategy. So it's not just about insurance, but as brokers, what other value can we add to our offering for them to help them manage risk within their business and how they operate. So whether that's, running workshops or providing client advisories, and other areas that we can help them to improve their overall management of risk in the business, I think is something that, is expected of us more and more. It's not just about the policy transaction renewal period once a year. It's a relationship that you have throughout the year.
Thank you, Claire, and thank you, Nina. And that wraps up our first Professional Risks Power Panel of the year for New Zealand. Thanks for watching Insurance Business TV. Bye for now.